Our next guest stopped people in their tracks with the headline, "I married for the first time at 60." That was the op-ed she wrote for Newsweek. She said she always wanted to be married, always planned on it, tried to make it work, but it just didn't. Cindy Trimm Tomlinson joins us from her home in McDonough, Georgia. Cindy, I just think this is such a fascinating op-ed that you wrote for Newsweek. And from the perspective of, you laid it out there. I was looking for love. And I think people often interpret that as, oh, I can't say it because I'll look desperate. You put your cards on the table.
Absolutely. I mean, if you want it, you want it. And this is something that was a part of my vision. I had a vision board. I wrote a vision for my life. And it's something that I wanted. I thought I would get married earlier. And I can explain now why I didn't. But back then, I didn't know. I was just looking for affirmation, not someone to confirm me or take care of me, but just to affirm who I was. And like I said, I had a lot of great relationships, but it was that thing that I was looking for.
When you wanted it, and because as you said, you were 60 when you got married, when you're 30 and it doesn't happen, and then you find yourself at 40 and it doesn't happen, what was going through your mind?
Well, sometimes you start wondering, I decided in the back of my mind, well, maybe you're too picky and maybe you should just settle because the time was ticking. And then after 50, I knew I wasn't going to have any children. I didn't want children after 50. And in the back of my mind, I said, well, maybe you should just accept and embrace the next person that you date. And I tried it. And that thing was not there. So I decided I knew what was best for me. And even though I could have been married, I would not have been happily married.
Yeah.
I would have been settled. And
You
I've
mentioned
never
that
settled.
you could have married. I know that when you were 22 years old, you had someone in your life, and they basically ask you to choose between your career and marriage.
Absolutely.
I have never had anyone to say that flat out. You hear of these stories. When that was said to you, clearly you were like, bye, but what were you thinking about at that time?
Absolutely not. Because at that age, I basically knew who I was. And I knew that marriage was not going to define me, nor motherhood. That definition came from within. So I just knew that. And what he was asking me to do is to be less than myself. And I was not going to dumb down to fit into his expectations. A lot of times we don't do enough internal work, inside work, to figure out what we really want and what we really need. We don't do that work. Nobody tells us to do that work.
Well, coming up, 3 decades after she thought it wouldn't happen, it did. Cindy's fairy tale wedding and the man she married. Stay with us.
Cindy, it would be my honor, and I hope it's an honor to you. And if you'll have me, I'll be proud to have you as Mrs. Tomlinson.
With author and motivational speaker Cindy Trimm Tomlinson. That just got me choked up. It was so sweet. Who wrote a piece that caught everyone's attention when she said, guess what? I married for the first time at 60. She found her Prince Charming Russell Tomlinson. And in October 2018, she had the wedding of her dreams with 200 of her closest friends and family members at the Hampton Court Palace in England. Woo! I mean, I guess when you wait that long, you just go all out. You blow it out. And they're both with us right now. Cindy, what a beautiful wedding. What a beautiful proposal, Russell. Because I think, Cindy, people will want to know, like, well, how did she do it? Did she write out this list? Did he write out this list? You talked about the vision board there. What was it at, I guess, 58 years old that you were like, okay, this is changing. I'm changing the trajectory of my love life.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in writing visions. So I wrote my first 20-year vision, and that came to pass with the exception of marriage. I wrote another 20-year vision,
Mhm.
and I had listed everything that I wanted in a person. So I do believe that you can manifest the life of your dreams just by writing a vision. And when Russell called me, I knew him. I had this philosophy and I had this non-negotiable that I would never marry a colleague, never ever. So he was a colleague maybe 25 years before that. We met in Bermuda. I knew his family, and I never thought of him as anyone that I would marry. So when I left Bermuda and came to the United States of America, I immigrated here. I didn't see him for 15 years or 20 years
Right.
after that, even though he lived down the street. He and his family lived down the street. So 20 years later, I heard that his first wife passed, and I just reached out, gave condolences, and that was it. And then out of the blue, he called and asked me.
This is the way a
Yeah,
woman tells the story. I love this. Out of the blue. Now, I guarantee you, Russell, what is your version of out of the blue in this story?
Well-
Were you always planning this?
Well, it was out of the blue for her.
See, I knew
But
it.
Yeah, but it was something that I've been considering for at least 3 months.
Aw.
She was brought to my attention by a friend. A friend flew over from Nigeria, Africa, and she was brought to my attention. He asked, "How is she?" And I thought to myself, "That's a strange question. I haven't seen her for years." And we talked and talked and talked, and then finally, one day I just decided to say, "Look, I care about you. I have feelings for you. I'm interested." And she said, "You blindsided me.
Wow.
You blindsided me."
4 days later, though, I was in a foreign country, and I thought, girl, you are out of your mind. You don't like him.
Oh.
He's your colleague. So I had to really do a lot of inside work to start dating him. Firstly, he's eye candy. And then secondly, he answered all my questions right. And I figured since he had such a successful first marriage, then this would be his second marriage. And on top of that, the kids were amazing. And so, and they call me moms, which is really, really wonderful.
Wow.
And I call mom, my other mom. And it's just been amazing.
Well, you had a beautiful wedding. Russell, the wedding was in a castle. I'm assuming, again, because you waited, you know what you wanted, so you wanted to do it right. Tell me about this wedding.
Well, King Henry VIII Castle. There had not been a wedding there in, how long was it?
And in that room since
In that room?
in that particular room since he was married.
Yeah, had never been a wedding there really since that time. And it was an exciting time.
Well, I just think it's such an inspiring story. Congratulations. And I know a lot of women will be writing, asking more questions, Cindy. So get ready for all of these. So thank you so much, Cindy and Russell. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for having us.